Hi guys, I'm back to the latest news of Trump's bid to end this long feud between the Hamas held hostages. A couple of them are still with them, some of them are deceased, and this appears to be a really well delineated, thought out plan for an exit from this quagmire, the kind of stalemate, the kind of mayhem, or the kind of hell that broke loose among the Palestinians. Almost it's just like barren land. 90% buildings have been pulled down. Aids are not reaching. Gazans are in the dire need of essential foods, drugs, and so many attempts have been made to exterminate even the UN health staff members, also the journalists, and plenty of journalists en masse have laid down their lives for them. They have been proven to be martyrs who have been reporting from ground zero. And Israel's all-out offensive and removing all settlement and wanting them 2 million people to be displaced instantly, immediately, and with even warnings of an hour or so, a couple of hours. And people are so desperate you couldn't even grab the essentials, possessions, and this is a mass exodus from no home to nowhere to go. In fact, these refugees crisis, like it has been brewing for such a long time, and it's so huge. It's such a biblical proportion of tragedy humanity has ever. So it's by far the heinous crime against humanity. It's kind of genocide that has been tried and tested by the Israeli force, and the house-to-house search looking for the last vestiges of lost remains of the. And finally, yesterday, Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, whom he calls baby, they have come up with, in consultations, in complete, a kind of consensus. They have reached through all the warring parties and factions, and with ultimatum to Hamas, who had 72 hours of complete handover of all the whether living or diseased hostages. I think 28, and we have a couple of 24. It's impossible to locate those who are deceased one if they have been buried. And I'm sure that they have been given the last rites as according to the. So it would be almost next to the impossibility of digging those graves out. They want them in pieces to be handed over to the those parents or those relatives who have lost their loved ones and near dear ones. But the thing is that it's not a practicable possibility of handing over the complete number of that as demanded or as being pestered by Netanyahu so far, and disarming of the Hamas. And there's a key, and there's no ensuing role of Hamas in any further decisions to be made regarding the fate, which is in a limbo. In fact, the fate is already sealed, and there's no future over there. And only magic or a God's providence or God's intervention will rejuvenate the streams of, and it's like a regeneration, resurrection of the teeming millions, masses of impoverished and hungry mouth. They'll be called back, and I'm really apprehensive. Although this is the high time, so this is the dire need of the hour, that Hamas, the sense should prevail with them, and it's a self-defeating, losing battle, and they've already lost thousands of lives, and there's no an end of this, genocidal attempts being ended. Because they are the ground troops, and the thousands of troops are the home-to-home search and home to it's an all-out one-to-one battle. The Israelis might lose some of the foot soldiers, those who are on the ground, but with heavy artillery and tanks and missiles and all. And it's the conflagration escalations into the other countries, and many of the countries are getting embroiled into this unending quagmire. Iranians and Israelis and the Egypt is main player, who has to bear the brunt, in the sense that they'll have to accept thousands of these, tens of thousands of fleeing refugees, or those who are absconding, or they're leaving their places. So, and they're not ready to accept them. They can't open the border. No country can afford to keep an open border for long, because the refugee crisis is unending, and providing them citizenry and with basic, and then bring them back to life in their own original homeland. The thing is that two-state solutions, that's the only viable solutions. We even talked about earlier, and now this proposal that's put forward with an emergency alarm and an ultimatum, and Trump seems to be sincere and say that all the parties are like Arab worlds and Egypt and all the those who have any stake, higher or lower, what kind of stakes they have in this fight. And I don't know where they're up to and why they want this piece of land to be eaten away, to be used up for as a real estate. And they look at it as a piece of land which can be sellable and which can be rehoused. We can have and Trump calls this very proudly and very foolishly calls the Riviera, where people have the renewed life with vigor, with a hopeful future, with lots of amenities, facilities. There's going to be blocks and blocks of flats and high-rising buildings with its own structures and their own resources. But the problem is that they don't want any party who are illegal or legitimate rights of the Palestinian government. Even they have been kept at bay. And Hamas has to be disarmed. If once they're complete disarmed, they're like, it's like a complete surrender before the hegemonist, barbaric, and the dominant Israeli government, which is all out to annex it. It's like an annexation of a different sort, where the autonomy, the sovereignty of the state is going to be ensured by world bodies in the name of handing over the power to the. And I don't know whether it's a very distant future that there would be a democratic process in place sooner or later with newer contenders. If there are no Hamas and there are no Palestinian government, who are going to rule the roost, and who are going to govern, and what are the statutes, the governing bodies? And so if it's a world body and the world policing, as we have peacekeeping forces with short, that's what I understand, because every war-torn nations, if at all there has been intervention by powers and powerful nations, the UN or the whole scenario is like for a certain period of time when this transition takes place, we have peacekeeping forces at work, and that's contributed by the common nations. And so if it has to be smooth, amicably settled, and with peaceful transition, and bringing back to these two-state policies, the coexistence of the Palestinians along with the Israelis, it has to be etched out of, it has to be carved out, because already a very smaller a piece of land left for Palestinians to enjoy as a complete sovereign state. But the thing is that it can't be one state for long. It has to be definitely uh, going to be two states coexistence and shoulder to shoulder with peaceful settlement to abide by, to hold on to, and to go along with the rest of the world to watch that we regain the same Palestinians and the same Israelis and with the coexistence of the Abrahamic religion. So I'm wishing the very best, because this ending the war, and that's the most the moot point. And this plan, whether how many parties or how many countries they are initially approving of the plan, and then so it all depends upon how smoothly the Hamas leaders they go back to the think tank, they decide whether to go ahead with this, accept the plan, demilitarize, and it doesn't have to any political say, and there's no participations in the whatsoever. That appears to be highly unlikely as far as my insights goes into it, because they are the biggest stakeholders, the biggest stake takers, and they enjoy the popularity of the populace, and they must be there as a party who have who can really intervene and continue. And Israel is a tough nation to deal with. It's a hard nut to crack, and if both the parties can vow back, can get back immediately. Can get into the this stalemate once again. Hoping for the best for Palestinians and Israelis with coexistence and humanity at large, because we have already lost thousands of lives, and men, women, children alike. And also the displacement of this sort of refugee crisis cannot be met, cannot be dealt in isolation. So the world bodies, especially the US intervention, only can assure that this lasting amicable solutions stays in reality. Hoping to see both the nations in coexistence, and my wishes to all the parties involved in this amicable settlement peace plan.